I'm sharing our favorite recipes from 2024. And it was really hard for us to narrow it down because I've made a lot of good ones here lately. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 6 of the best dinner recipes I've made over the past year. Okay y'all, let's get started. I love this chili cheese pasta. It's also a one-pot meal, which makes it even better. To begin, I've got 1 pound of ground beef in a large skillet. To that, I'm adding 1 small diced onion. I'm just breaking that up and I'm going to let it cook until it's completely cooked through. It's done, so I'm just using a paper towel to soak up some of that grease. Next, we're going to add in 1 can of chili beans. And you don't want to drain those, there's a lot of flavor in there. I'm also adding 1 can of petite diced tomatoes, and I didn't drain those either. For the seasonings, I'm adding in some Badia Complete. It's just an all-purpose seasoning. I'm also adding 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Season it up how you would a good old pot of chili. For the pasta, I like to use Celentani, and you'll need 8 ounces of it, which is half of this box. I had half a bag of these twists in my pantry. I'm not sure where I got them, but they're the same thing, so I'm going to use these. You could also use shells, rotini, or even elbows. Now add in 3 cups of chicken broth, and then give it all a really good stir. You're going to bring this mixture to a boil, and then once it comes to a boil, you're going to cover it, reduce it to a simmer, and then let it continue to cook for 15 to 17 minutes until that pasta is done and most of that liquid has absorbed. You do want to stir this occasionally so that pasta doesn't stick to the bottom. And about halfway through, I just started using this black garlic, so I decided to add some of that. That pasta is done, so now I'm going to add in half a block of softened cream cheese. And just to make sure this mixed in very well, I did microwave mine for about 30 seconds. If your cream cheese is too cold, you will never get it mixed in, I'm telling you. Now to finish this off, I'm adding about 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Now you're just going to stir it until it's well combined. This is so good. It's cheesy, which we love, and the beans in there make it very hearty and filling. This is like the ultimate comfort food right here. And it's easy to make, it comes together quick, and that makes it perfect for any night of the week. I actually made this for lunch one day. Oh yes, I did. My sister lives next door and she always comes home on her lunch break. So I called her and asked her if she wanted chili cheese pasta for lunch, and she said, yes please. I seen these chive and onion cream cheese chicken taquitos on TikTok and I immediately had to try them. To get started, in a large bowl, you're going to add in 2.5 cups of cooked shredded chicken or cooked shredded rotisserie chicken. And to that, I'm adding an 8-ounce container of the chive and onion cream cheese. Now this is what takes it to a whole new level. You're going to add in about 1/2 cup of cooked and crumbled bacon. Now you're going to stir this until it's well combined. And it took me a minute to get it mixed up here, as you can see. But just keep at it and you'll get it. Okay, now we're going to set this aside and get ready to make our taquitos. I'm using the small fajita size flour tortillas because that's what I had on hand. And I made these on a baking sheet that I lined with a silicone liner. I just laid down a flour tortilla and filled it with that chicken mixture, then rolled it up. And you'll just have to play around with these depending on how much filling you add. If it's too hard to roll up after you add the filling, just scoop some out. But if you feel like you can add more, you can add a little bit more to it. But I ended up getting 9 out of this recipe. And I sprayed them with a little oil, or you could do melted butter, before I put them in the oven so they'd get a little crisp. You're going to bake these at 400 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes until they're good and golden brown but not burnt. And I know these look so simple to make, but these were absolutely amazing. Lacey, my daughter, had a fit over them, and she's pretty picky. I served them with some Spanish rice. My family loves Spanish rice, and some buttered corn. And if you wanted to, you could dip these in something, but we liked them just how they were. These were delicious, and my family devoured them. You could also use this filling to make quesadillas. I bet those would be really good. When I seen this recipe for grilled meatloaf burgers, I knew I had to try them. In a large bowl, I'm adding 1 pound of lean ground beef. And to that, I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of ketchup and 2 teaspoons of mustard. For the seasonings, I added 1 teaspoon of onion powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. The recipe calls for half a cup of soft breadcrumbs. I just used a few slices of loaf bread. I put them in my food processor and blended them up into light, fluffy crumbs. Now I'm adding in 1/4 cup of milk, and I just used 2%. You're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Okay, time to mix it all up. I used my dough whisk just to kind of break it up a little bit. I was really trying to avoid getting my hands in here, but you know what? When you're making meatloaf, you just gotta do it. And if it helps, you can throw on a pair of gloves. Here it is, it's all mixed together. Now it's time to shape them into some burgers. I divided that mixture into thirds and made 3 hamburger patties. Or I guess you could say meatloaf patties. Now you can throw these on the grill, but it's too cold outside. So I'm heading over to the stove top and I'm gonna do these there. I added a little oil to a large skillet, then I added in those burgers. I let them cook for about 5 minutes on that first side. Then I flipped them and then let them continue to cook for a few more minutes until they were done. And I'm not the best burger cooker here, so y'all will have to excuse my burger flipping skills because I don't have any. So I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. When they're done, you don't have to do this, but I flipped them over 1 more time before I added on the cheese. Making burgers makes me think of summer, and I am ready for warm weather. Who else is ready for summer? I did turn the heat off, by the way, before I topped each piece with 1 slice of provolone cheese. And it melted quick. Now these burgers are ready to serve. I just served these with some potato wedges I cooked up in the air fryer. Or you could even do potato salad. What's your favorite side to have with burgers? We all gave these a 10 out of 10. And if you want to cut back on the carbs, you can always wrap it up in a lettuce wrap. This Cheddar Bay Chicken Alfredo pizza is about to blow your mind. We're going to start out by making the crust for this pizza. You'll need an 11-ounce box of the Red Lobster biscuit mix. I did use the rosemary, garlic, and Parmesan, but if you want, you can just use the regular. Add that to the bowl, and then you're going to set that little seasoning packet to the side. We'll use it a little later. Now I'm pretty much following the directions on the back of that box. I added half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese and 3/4 cup of cold water. And you don't want to overmix this. You just want to mix it just enough to where it starts to come together and form a dough. I'm using a 10 by 15 baking sheet. I think it's like a jelly roll pan. I sprayed it really good with nonstick spray, and then I poured in that dough. And then you're going to spread it out to completely cover the bottom of that pan. Now, if you happen to not have a 10 by 15 pan, I haven't tried it yet, but you should be able to do it on a sheet pan and just not go all the way to the edge. And I will say, you do have to work at this a little to get it to spread out. I tried wetting my fingertips, but I ended up having the best luck with an offset spatula. Or you could even try laying a piece of plastic wrap over the top and smoothing it out that way. Now this is going into the oven to bake at 425 for 10 minutes. And at this point it's still not completely done, but we're going to add the toppings and then bake it for a little bit longer. Now in a small bowl, you're going to mix together that seasoning packet from the biscuit mix along with 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And you're going to brush that mixture all over the top of that crust. Now instead of pizza sauce for this pizza, we're going to add half a bottle of Alfredo sauce. I just kind of eyeball that. You're just going to pour it on and then spread it almost all the way to the edges. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out and it lets me know you want to see more videos like this. Okay, I got that all spread out and now it's time for the toppings. First, we're going to sprinkle over 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. Now you can use rotisserie chicken for this, but I seasoned up 8 ounces of boneless skinless chicken and I sauteed that up in a pan. And then I sliced it up into small pieces and then added that on here. Next, you're going to add about a half a pound of cooked and crumbled bacon. If you want to make this even easier, you can just use a package or 2 of those real bacon pieces. Now I'm topping everything with 1 more cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. You could even also do Parmesan on here, that would be really good. Now this is going back into that 425-degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes until that cheese is golden brown and bubbly. This was out of this world good. It was cheesy and that Cheddar Bay biscuit crust gave it a lot more flavor, and that bacon and Alfredo sauce just took it to a whole new level. I just kept this simple and served it with a little side salad, but this was so good. I cannot say enough good things about it. So I'm telling you, I really think you should give this one a try. I think you'll love it. Now, I did eat mine with a fork. I cut it into squares, but you can pick this up and eat it like a pizza. I gave it a 10 out of 10. If you haven't already tried this cattle drive casserole, you really need to. In a large skillet, you're going to add 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I also added in half a diced onion. Then I'm just going to break that up and let it cook until that ground beef is cooked through. This was lean ground beef, so there wasn't too much grease in here, but I'm just using my paper towel to get rid of what I could. Now to that, I'm just going to sprinkle in 1 packet of taco seasoning. I'm also adding in 1 can of Rotel. I get the mild, but if you want to give it a kick, you can get the hot. And I did not drain mine. And for a little extra flavor, I threw in a 4-ounce can of fire roasted diced green chilies, along with 1 can of drained and rinsed pinto beans. But you could also use black beans if you prefer. Now give this a good stir, and we're going to let it sit here and simmer for about 5 minutes. Then you can go ahead and remove it from the heat, and we're going to head over to the counter with it. Now I'm going to get started on the base for this casserole. You'll need an 11.36 ounce box of the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit mix. Add that into a large bowl there, then we're going to mix it up according to the directions on the back of the box. I added in that seasoning packet, half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and 3/4 cup of cold water. Now you don't want to overmix this, just mix it up until it just starts to come together to form a dough. I'm making this in a 9x13 baking dish, and with that biscuit dough being on the bottom, you do want to make sure you grease it with some kind of nonstick spray. Or you could make it even better and grease it with butter. Now spread that out to completely cover the bottom of that dish. And I don't know why I broke out the offset spatula here. I should have just got in there with my hands. If you want, you can dip your fingertips in some water and spread it out that way. You can do it whatever way makes it easier for you, just as long as you get it spread out. Then I poured that ground beef mixture in and spread it out to completely cover that biscuit dough. Now I'm pushing it to the side so I can start on the next layer. I'm just using that same bowl I made that biscuit dough in. It ain't gonna hurt a thing. I added 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, along with 3/4 cup of sour cream and 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel, and it lets me know you want to see more videos like this. Okay, I also added in 2 tablespoons of ranch seasoning mix to that bowl there, and then you're going to mix this together until it's well combined. Now we're going to take that cream cheese mixture that we just made up, and you're going to spoon it evenly over the top of that ground beef. And it don't have to be perfect because we're about to spread it out anyway. And you'll have to let me know below, what is your favorite casserole to make? Or what's one your family loves the most? I've got that all spread out now, and you know you can't have a casserole without topping it with cheese. My niece Lila was down here on this day, and she helped me add the cheese to the top. She loves helping me in the kitchen. And you can add however much cheese you like here, but I think we ended up adding about 2 cups. We did cheddar, but you could really use any cheese you think would be good on here. Now I'm just spreading it out to make sure everything gets covered. Now you're going to put this casserole in the oven to bake at 350 for 35 to 40 minutes, or until the top is golden brown. Here it is out of the oven. It may not look the prettiest, but it is delicious. I just topped it with some green onions and served it with some Italian green beans. I loved all the different layers in here, that biscuit layer on the bottom, that ground beef, that cream cheese mixture, everything went perfect together. And I'm telling you, if you haven't already tried this one, you really need to. It is so good. I seen this one pot Cajun chicken and veggies, and I knew I had to try it. In a large skillet, I added a tablespoon of oil, along with 1 pound of boneless skinless chicken that I cut into bite-sized pieces. You can season this up however you like, but I did about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and about a tablespoon of this Slap Ya Mama Cajun seasoning. The recipe called for 2 tablespoons of that, but I wasn't real sure if I wanted it that spicy. So 1 tablespoon turned out to be perfect. I just stirred this around and sauteed that chicken until it was cooked through. Then you can go ahead and remove it to a separate plate and set it aside. Now to that skillet, I added 1/2 of an onion sliced. We like our onions very, very tender, so I kind of gave them a head start here. I let them cook for a few minutes until they started to soften up a bit. Then I started to add in the rest of the veggies. I sliced up 2 zucchini, and I had 1 crown of broccoli that I cut all the florets off and cut those into bite-sized pieces. I also added 1 diced red bell pepper and 1 diced orange bell pepper. And I just sauteed all that until those veggies were tender to the way we like them. I wanted to add a little more seasoning to this, so I sprinkled over a little more of that Cajun seasoning. I need to do some summer sides for y'all too, so you'll have to let me know in the comments below what's your favorite summer vegetable. And when those veggies are done to the way you like them, you can go ahead and add back in that cooked chicken. You know what? I think some sliced kielbasa would be really good in this too. I think I'll try that next time. This was so easy to make, and actually the hardest part of all of it was cutting the veggies, which you could totally do the day before or the morning of, and then when dinner time comes, you can cook up the chicken, toss the veggies in there, and then this is ready to eat. It was so good. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.